Qualities of a Memoir by Jack Rimmer and Ashton Fitzpatrick.
Characteristics of a memoir. It focuses on the relationship between the writer, person, place, animal, or object. It explains the significance of a memoir. It leaves the reader with an impression of the subject. It makes the subject of the memoir come alive. It maintains a first-person point of view. They include details that set the scene. They relay emotions and feelings. Memoirs have an introduction with an attention-grabbing opening. They have a conclusion with significance of the experience.
What is a memoir? A memoir is an essay on a learned subject. In the novel Night, Elie Wiesel writes about his experience during the Holocaust. A memoir is a historical biography written from personal knowledge or special sources. It is a book about your life, the lessons learned, and key moments that made who you are to the present day. We all typically think of a memoir and quiver a little at the idea of a book about someone else's life.
A memoir focuses on the relationship between the writer, person, place, animal, or object. Night focuses on Elie Wiesel and his family and their experience during the Holocaust. We learn about the treatment from the Germans as they travel from Siget to Auschwitz. He recounts his interactions with his dad, cousin Steen, Tibi, Yossi, Juliek, and Moishi the Beetle.
A memoir explains the significance of the relationship. The relationship between Eli and his father is the most significant in the book. They are supportive through the hard times of the Holocaust. We were shown their care for one another when they were constantly trying to give each other their last morsels of food and water, right until the end when his dad was taken to the crematorium.
A memoir leaves the reader with one impression of the subject. The memoir leaves us with the grim reality of the 5-year-long Holocaust from 1939 to 1945. We learn of what the Jews endured and the relationships that formed through the tragic events. Some families became closer, yet watched their loved ones separate from them and in some cases be killed.
A memoir makes the subject of the memoir come alive. Our main subject is that Eli's belief came alive and evolved throughout the novel. At first, he relies heavily on his belief that God will save them. But as awful experiences occur, his faith in God diminishes. Never shall I forget those moments that murdered my God and my soul that turned my dreams to ashes. Chapter 3, page 34.
A memoir maintains a first-person point of view. Night is in Elie Wiesel's first point of view. This is proven constantly, especially in some of his poignant statements. Here's a quote. "Never shall I forget that night, the first night in camp, which has turned my life into one long night. 7 times cursed and 7 times sealed. Never shall I forget the smoke. Never shall I forget the little faces of the children, whose bodies I saw turned into wreaths of smoke beneath a silent blue sky. Never shall I forget those flames which consumed my faith forever. Never shall I forget the nocturnal silence which deprived me, for all eternity, of the desire to live. Never shall I forget those moments which murdered my God and my soul and turned my dreams to dust. Never shall I forget these things, even if I am condemned to live as long as God himself. Never." Chapter 3, page 32.
A memoir includes details that set the scene. The scene starts in Siget, Romania, and ends in Auschwitz, Poland, at the Birkenau concentration camp. We are reminded of many gruesome scenes, such as it was pitch dark, I could hear only the violin, and it was as though Juliek's soul were the bow. He was playing his life. The whole of his life was gliding on the strings. His last hopes, his charred past, his extinguished future. He played as he would never play again. When I woke in the daylight, I could see Juliek opposite me, slumped over, dead. Near him lay his violin, smashed, trampled, a strange, overwhelming little corpse. Chapter 8, page 94.
A memoir relays emotions and feelings. We are forever reminded of Eli's emotions and feelings throughout the story Night. This is demonstrated constantly throughout the story. He says, quote, "I pray to God within me that he will give me the strength to ask the right questions." Chapter 1, page 5. This shows how he is scared from what is happening and does not know what to do to stay alive.
Memoirs have an introduction with an attention-grabbing opening. Once the train arrived in Poland, the Gestapo took the Jewish passengers off the train, drove them to a forest, made them dig graves, and slaughtered them with machine guns, using babies for target practice. Moshe miraculously survived with a leg wound and returned to warn the people of Siget. This gets the attention of the reader very easily when he says, using babies for target practice. Chapter 2, page 25.
Conclusion and the significance of the experience. Eli Wiesel survived the Holocaust when so many others did not. Now his mission in life is to spread the word and to keep the Holocaust alive and make sure people don't forget and always remember. Quote, I decided to devote my life to telling the story because I felt that having survived, I owe something to the dead and anyone who does not remember and betrays them again. Eli Wiesel.